When a man really loves you, he does this, and then disappears. Carl Jung. When a man who once loved you with his eyes, with every tender whisper, suddenly goes silent, your heart tightens, messages go unanswered, calls fall into silence, and the warmth that once filled the space now lingers only as an echo. Your mind spirals into doubt and speculation. Assumptions flood your thoughts, weaving a tangled web of meanings behind his silence. Silence carries further than any words. That emptiness echoes louder than the noisiest conversations, amplifying your longing for connection. But what if I told you that this distance might be a silent expression of deep love? That his withdrawal is not indifference, but a veiled signal of complex affection? That behind that stillness may lie a psychological struggle he's unconsciously wrestling with. So, what truly happens when a man who loves you deeply disappears? In this video, we'll dive into the subconscious currents guiding his actions. Stay until the end, because the reason for his silence might just be the most profound and unspoken confession of love you'll ever receive. Number 1. The unconscious nature of true love. I believe it's not hard for a woman to know whether the man beside her truly loves her. You feel it not just through his words, but also through his gaze and his gestures. The quiet way he tracks every small emotion in you. He doesn't just stand beside you. He lives within your mind like a familiar echo that calms your heart with the certainty it's him. And then just when you start to open up, just when you begin to believe the love is real, he vanishes. No warning, no clear signs, just a stretching silence, cold like wind through empty rooms. You're left alone, like someone ripped from a beautiful dream. Everything that came before seemed too deep to be fake, too real to simply vanish. You can't stop questioning yourself. Thoughts entangle like spider webs in your mind, each one pulling another thread of emotion, tightening around your heart. You look at your phone hundreds of times, waiting for a message, a small sign that he's still there, that what you shared hasn't faded. But there's nothing. His silence isn't emptiness. It's an undertow, heavy and haunting. There's nothing more painful than being ignored by the very person who once made you feel like their whole world. The disappearance of the man who once loved you like breath itself strikes at your self-worth, your trust, and your memory of every sweet thing you shared. You begin replaying every moment. Was that hug real? How can someone give that much closeness and then vanish as if they never existed? This isn't just an exit. It's a psychological wound, deep and lingering, that makes you question your very value. So let me tell you this. When a man truly loves you, something almost inevitable happens. He loses control over himself. Not in the weak, dramatic way society likes to mock, but in a deeper, more primal sense. A part of him, one he doesn't understand, starts to awaken. This is the place Jung called the unconscious. Jung believed that love doesn't just awaken joy, but also stirs the hidden corners of the soul. For a man, true love isn't just an emotion. It's a collision between his current self and a depth of psyche he's never touched. The woman he truly loves isn't merely flesh and bone, but a mysterious figure, sometimes sacred, sometimes haunting. Anima, the personification of all feminine psychological tendencies within a man's unconscious, as Carl Jung described it. This theory helps explain why love can trigger such puzzling reactions. When a man in love becomes distant, it often isn't a sign of indifference, but a reaction to the unconscious forces pulling him inward. Jung said that true love initiates the journey of individuation, a process that demands one confronts the unconscious and integrates both the light and shadow aspects of the self. Love propels him into this transformation, requiring courage to embrace his whole being. True love isn't what makes everything easier. Jung believed love is a process of transformation, and transformation is never painless. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. He once wrote, "And when a man stands before you, his heart racing, his eyes soft like a child's, that may also be the moment he begins to feel the dissolution of his former self." Seen from this lens, his silence isn't coldness. It's a shield against emotional overwhelm. Withdrawal often comes from caring so deeply that he doesn't know how to handle the storm of feelings love has stirred. That distance reflects an inner conflict between the desire for closeness and the fear of losing his sense of self. His disappearance isn't just a shift in feelings, it's the external sign of an internal psychological crisis quietly unfolding in his mind. And to understand it better, we must go deeper into the two psychological structures Jung described: the anima archetype and the shadow. Two invisible forces shaping this seemingly incomprehensible behavior. Number 2, anima. Fundamentally, anima is the feminine part deep within a man's psyche, the invisible woman he always carries with him. According to Carl Jung, the anima is not just a psychological concept, but a living entity that exists in the unconscious of men. Both a personal complex and an image derived from ancient archetypes influencing how a man feels, loves, desires, and chooses his partner. From early childhood, the very first figure that shapes the anima is the mother, the first woman he ever knew. How she held him or neglected him in his crying is silently engraved into his unconscious. As he grows, experiences with women, a teacher, a first love, and even a wife are not merely relationships but new layers added to altering its shape, making it more complex and more dangerous. In his book Animus and Anima, 1985, Jung wrote that the anima is a natural part of the male soul structure. Just like earth, water, fire, and air are elements of the world. Even if a man has never fallen in love, the anima is still present. She is his silent companion, the gateway to his inner world, the shadow he constantly chases, even when he doesn't know her name. Jung described 4 levels of anima development, corresponding to a man's emotional maturity. At the first stage, the archetype of Eve, the woman, appears as a symbol of nurturing and safety, like a child who needs his mother to survive. A man at this level clings to gentleness, demanding from women a kind of unconditional pampering and forgiveness. Men who are jealous, controlling, or expect their lovers to just understand them are often still stuck in this phase. At the second level, Helen, the seductive lover, the man begins to see women as independent individuals, alluring and possessing magnetic power. The relationship becomes passionate, but is also easily dominated by lust and idealization. He does not love her as a real person, but as a glowing image in his mind, something like, "She is everything I've ever dreamed of." Because of this, disillusionment quickly follows when reality doesn't match the fantasy. At the third level, Mary, the companion, the man begins to distinguish between lust and true love. He doesn't love to possess, but to understand. He no longer expects the woman to complete him, but values her for who she truly is. He learns to listen, to apologize, and to build a reciprocal relationship. Emotions are no longer shameful, but a natural part of life. At the final level, Sophia, the spiritual guide, the anima, becomes a source of spiritual and philosophical inspiration. Sophia is no longer a lover but a teacher, a soulmate in the journey of inner maturity. This is when the man starts caring about the meaning of life, about creativity, and about asking questions of the self. To an artist, Sophia is the muse. To the seeker, she is the drive for endless discovery. Throughout his life, a man will cycle through these anima levels. He might love Helen today, but years later long for a friendship like Mary's. These transitions come with crises, heartbreaks, and quiet growth. But if a man doesn't become conscious of his anima, she will act through projection. In that case, he doesn't love the woman in front of him. He loves the anima in his mind, the parts of himself he has not yet acknowledged. That's when a glance, a voice, or a simple gesture can make him fall in love. Not because the woman is extraordinary, but because she matches the unconscious image he's been carrying. Anima is not just a romantic ideal. It is the bridge to psychological wholeness in men. She represents the emotional and intuitive dimension he must integrate to become whole. But when a man hasn't reconciled with his animus, he projects her onto women in his life, creating relationships filled with illusions and unmet expectations. Because the anima is an image from the unconscious, she is not realistic. The man doesn't love you as a real person. He loves the image of anima reflected in you. Jung wrote, "Every man carries within him the eternal image of woman. And when you match that image, even just a little, he begins to fall. But at the same time, he begins to fear. Because you are not just a lover, you are the symbol of all that he has been forbidden to approach. Emotion, vulnerability, and the need to be cared for and to be loved without having to stay in control. To him, you embody all that is mysterious and sensitive, the feminine qualities he was never encouraged to cultivate in himself. You become the mirror, reflecting the most hidden parts of his psyche, which are both alluring and terrifying. The anima carries emotional complexity, longing for connection, intuition, and sensitivity. When unrecognized, these forces can cause confusion and fear as they challenge the shadow beneath the social mask he has constructed. Number 3, the shadow. Carl Jung warned, whatever is buried in the unconscious will eventually surface, especially in intimate relationships. The psychological parts we deny will always find a way to express themselves. Most powerfully, when we open our hearts to someone. When a man truly loves, that love can awaken not just hope, but also his deepest wounds and fears. All of us carry within a child still trembling and still waiting to be loved the right way. It's the child who was once neglected and scolded, who learned to be quiet, to be accepted. And that very child is still in control, behind every angry outburst, behind every withdrawal to avoid hurt. Jung called this the shadow, which holds all the parts of us that have been rejected, denied, or repressed for not fitting the good image society expects. And that shadow doesn't disappear just because we try to ignore it. It simply sinks deeper, generating unconscious reactions that cause us to hurt in the same place and stumble over the same patterns. Jung believed that the unconscious doesn't merely store repressed impulses, it transforms them. He saw the unconscious not as a passive container, but as an active shaping force. When parts of the self are denied, they don't rest. They mutate, finding symbolic and often irrational ways to surface. The more they're suppressed, the more disruptive and distorted their emergence becomes. Imagine a man who grows up in a strict, disciplined family. From childhood, he was taught that real men don't cry and must be tough and strong. Every time he felt pain or vulnerability, he swallowed his tears because his parents wouldn't allow him to be weak. As an adult, he lives by the image his parents imposed until he falls in love with a woman. Her softness, femininity, and emotional nature stir something in him, a longing to connect with his true feelings. But every time she's upset or cries, he feels a strange discomfort. He becomes irritable, withdrawn, and sometimes even pushes her away. Have you ever noticed these signs in your partner? If yes, leave a comment below so others know they're not alone in this journey. This phenomenon is explained by Carl Jung from a psychological perspective. When a man encounters a woman who awakens real emotion in him, his love for her becomes a mirror reflecting both his most beautiful qualities and his most hidden inner conflicts, often without his awareness. Projection is a natural function of the psyche, but it requires emotional maturity to recognize and integrate. Understanding this process demands a level of self-awareness many find hard to reach. That's why he often pulls away rather than drawing closer. His instinct may be to retreat as a way to manage the emotional intensity. At first, this projection seems magical. He puts you on a pedestal, seeing you as extraordinary and perfect. But as the relationship develops and your real human nature emerges, the illusion begins to crumble. He sees you for who you are. And in that moment, he also sees a part of himself he's never accepted. And this is when the shadow rises. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. Jung wrote, "The shadow isn't just what's bad in us. It's anything we've ever rejected, judged, or exiled from consciousness because it didn't align with the ideal version of ourselves we tried to become." And here's the terrifying part. True love reveals both the anima and the shadow simultaneously. A man who truly loves you doesn't just see your light, he also sees the unfinished, unresolved parts within himself. And that frightens him, not because of you, but because of himself. He's afraid of letting go of his mask of strength. He's afraid of losing control. He's afraid of becoming dependent on a feeling that makes him no longer himself in the way he used to define it. So what is the connection between the shadows? Anima, as Jung described, is not just a dream of perfect love. She is the path back to the abandoned emotions within the man. And the shadow is not a saboteur. It's the gatekeeper of truth. Love awakens and illuminates the shadow, and thus begins an internal battle within the man between ego and transformation. But here's the painful truth. Most men are not prepared to fight that battle. They don't know how to hold on to animosity without losing their reason. They don't know how to look into the shadows without falling apart. And that precisely is the deep psychological layer beneath the unexplained disappearance. A layer whose meaning might surprise you as we peel back the hard truths together, one revelation at a time. Number 4. The meaning of disappearance. True love not only invites vulnerability, it demands deep inner transformation. To love deeply, he must confront parts of himself he has avoided his whole life. An overwhelming task. It's as if his soul understands that to truly love is to face everything he's kept hidden. His deeper self recognizes that genuine connection requires breaking down the walls around his heart. The fear of dissolving into the relationship, losing control, or letting go of lifelong defenses often outweighs the desire for closeness. This fear can become so powerful that it overrides the longing for connection, pushing him into retreat. As a result, he may grow distant and isolate himself as an unconscious effort to protect the fragile identity he's constructed. The coldness or silence is often a desperate attempt to cling to a self-image that hasn't fully matured. When love stirs the shadow, the man faces a deep internal split. And when emotional intensity creates a psychological abyss, he's forced to confront buried parts of himself. He must choose between facing that inner wound or clinging to the comfort of the known. This choice between growth and safety determines whether he moves toward love or withdraws. The retreat may reflect an internal struggle to surrender to love without feeling annihilated. What he fears isn't the relationship itself, but the transformation it demands. To change, to heal, to face the hidden. This connection awakens the need to face the shadow, like stepping into the unknown. That's the paradox of soul-level love. It's both beautiful and painful. Love reaches into the core of who we are, and in doing so, it exposes the parts we've always kept hidden. Love doesn't just connect, it reveals. And we're not always ready for what it reveals. But by understanding the psychological roots of his behavior, you reclaim your power. This awareness won't help you control him, but it will equip you to navigate pain with clarity, compassion, and strength. His distance signals a psychological breaking point, a call to face and integrate fragmented parts of himself. True love is a catalyst for transformation. It shakes the foundation of long-held inner structures. When love arrives and demands authentic connection and emotional presence, his instinct may be to shut down. Emotional openness threatens the self-image he has carefully constructed. A terrifying prospect by withdrawing, he tries to shield himself from the chaos of confronting the shadow directly. And if you're blaming yourself, let me tell you, his retreat is about his own psychological journey, not a judgment of your worth. In this light, his silence is a signal from the unconscious, a silent request for time, space, and stillness to reorganize his inner world. Carl Jung once said, "Only the paradox comes anywhere near to comprehending the fullness of life." And love, especially love that touches the unconscious, is a paradox. This man may disappear not because he no longer loves you, but because loving you so deeply made every one of his defenses collapse. Your presence made it impossible for him to keep avoiding himself. And not knowing how to face that, he did the only thing his instincts allowed. He pulled away. Imagine a man who has lived his entire life by the principle, "I'm in control of everything." He's successful and rational, appears strong, and rarely shows emotion. Then he meets you. What he feels for you is unlike anything before. It's not under control. It doesn't follow logic. It makes him feel vulnerable, shaky, longing, and afraid. You're not just the woman he loves. You're a gateway into his unconscious. You're the image of the Anima. You're the call of the unhealed parts within you. Disappearance isn't meaningless silence. It's the sign of a transformation phase. Like the hero in mythology who must walk into the desert to find himself. Jung called it the night sea journey, the descent into darkness to reclaim the inner light. And this man, if he truly loves you, may now be caught between two forces. One pulling him toward connection, and the other afraid of vanishing into intimacy. Soul-level love always challenges the ego. And the ego built over time through logic, beliefs, and the need for control fights back hard when threatened. So when a man disappears, it might be the clearest sign that your love truly touched him, that it shook the very foundation of who he thought he was, and now he needs time to redefine himself. To the woman in pain, the most important truth is do not let his disappearance define your worth, because it doesn't. Jung once emphasized, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." His silence may be an invitation for you to look inward, to awaken from the dream of romantic idealization and begin the journey back to your own wholeness. So if you're in this silent chapter, don't rush to conclusions. It may be a beginning, not for the return of an old relationship, but for the birth of a deeper, fuller version of yourself. And stay until the end of this video, because what I'm about to say next may forever change the way you see your inner life. So that one day, if he does come back, he won't be meeting the girl who once begged for his presence. He'll meet a woman who has seen herself and is whole enough not to need anyone to complete her. Number 5, transforming pain into awareness. The pain of being left behind doesn't come only from the absence of the other person, but from the feeling of rejection, of being forgotten, of not being chosen. It pierces a woman's self-worth, drilling deep into old wounds you thought you had already overcome. But what if I told you that this disappearance, this silence, isn't an ending? What if it's a mysterious invitation, a doorway to awakening for both him and you? Think back to those times you tried calling, texting, explaining, looking for reasons, blaming yourself, and trying to hold on. Where did all those reactions come from? Was it the fear of abandonment? The feeling of not being enough? And if that's true, then this disappearance, however painful it feels, might be the most valuable opportunity for you to step onto the path of self-healing. What do you think the meaning of disappearance in love is? Is it a full stop or a turning point for awakening? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your story, because maybe through your words, someone else will find the missing piece within themselves. What truly matters is not whether he comes back. It's what you do with the silence he left behind. Do you let it drown you in doubt and anger? Or do you use it as raw material to grow, to understand yourself, and to love more completely? Jung believed man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health. And perhaps this painful disappearance is not a rejection of love, but love demanding that both of you evolve to be truly worthy of it. It's an honor, but also a challenge. Because sometimes real love doesn't bring us together. It brings us back to ourselves. Instead of fixing him, give him space. During this time, you can also explore your own projections and expectations. To reach this depth, you must understand pain. Pain isn't just a consequence of loss. It's a psychological signal, a wake-up call from deep within. You can't heal what you don't understand about the unconscious forces running your life. Jung believed that not just men, but every woman carries a masculine aspect in her psyche called the animus. According to Jung, the honeymoon phase of relationships ends when the couple can no longer maintain the projection of their animus onto each other. The attraction we feel at the start is, in essence, the pull of our own anima or animus reflected in our partner. Ask yourself this: do you love him, or do you love the idea that he won't abandon you? That he'll stay? That he'll make up for those who didn't? Is he a symbol of something deeper in your unconscious? A distant father? An unmet friend? A healer for old wounds? And if you've projected your animus expectations onto your partner, that may be one reason he disappeared without warning. Why? Because, as I said, these unconscious expectations can trigger insecurity, the shadow within him. He may love you, but if he's expected to fulfill a role that contradicts his authentic self, that pressure might drive him away. His disappearance is a chance to strip away the emotional mask. To realize the love you're grieving may not be entirely about him, but about you, your fears, and your unhealed void. Carl Jung once said, "It all depends on how we look at things, and not on how they are in themselves." He spoke of individuation, and a crucial step in this process is separating the ego from emotional experience. This means no longer being swept away by pain, but observing it instead. A conscious part of you remains calm no matter what happens outside. When you access that part of your mind, you discover that nothing and no one can affect you unless you permit them. Every time someone throws you off balance, it's not because the world is unfair or someone hurt you. It's because there's something in you that still needs to be resolved. And that's the real key to unshakable peace. Not changing the world, but transforming how you experience it. Once you master this, storms or departures no longer scare you because you know they are temporary, and behind every storm lies an opportunity for growth. What you need to do next is rewrite your internal story. Not through hollow affirmations, but by creating new experiences that reinforce true transformation. Jung emphasized the importance of integration, bringing what was hidden in the dark into the light. And that means, instead of running from pain, you sit with it, observe it, and instead of rejecting it, you accept it not as fate, but as part of your story. The first step is to change the question you ask yourself from, "Why did he leave?" to, "Why did his leaving shatter me so much?" That's when you start uncovering what's truly missing inside. You begin to reconnect with the forgotten feminine within you, the part that believed it was unworthy without someone's love. And then you realize that you don't need anyone to validate your worth. You only need yourself. You are whole when you dare to face the emptiness without needing to fill it. And in that moment, you transform from the abandoned to the awakened. From needing love to survive to choosing love as a form of freedom, his disappearance may just be the key you didn't expect to begin that journey. Once you've faced your inner shadow and learned to live truthfully without avoidance, you step into a deeper layer of awareness, choosing to live by your feminine archetype, not what society or family dictates. This is a turning point because most female roles are inherited unconsciously from the collective. Carl Jung called these primordial images archetypes residing in the collective unconscious. For women, the strongest archetypes are often the Great Mother, nurturing, forgiving, protective, anima, feminine soul, emotion, and intuition, and the Wise Woman, wisdom, direction, and detachment from social scripts. Each carries a distinct energy, and they can emerge at different stages of life. The issue is that many women are stuck in a single role they believe they must play. But archetypes are not prisons. They are living symbols of the soul you can step into, experience, and then transform. A confident woman doesn't try to be the perfect mother, lover, and warrior all at once. She lives the archetype that fits the chapter she's in and dares to change when her inner seasons shift. Respect doesn't come from perfecting every role, but from being honest about which role is calling you now. And when you truly embody this, shift, and something incredible happens. Other people no longer have the power to hurt you. Situations that once caused anxiety lose their grip because you no longer see them through the same fearful lens. You finally take the reins. And once you've tasted that freedom, you'll never again allow anything or anyone to steal your peace. Because when you prioritize inner peace without guilt, everything in your life starts to realign naturally. And it all begins with the courage to listen to yourself in a world constantly telling you what to feel, think, or do. This is when the practice of inner silence becomes essential. Jung believed the mind is always noisy, a stream of inner dialogue we rarely question. But what happens if each day you take a moment just to be with yourself? No distractions, no phone, no social media, no need to do anything, just you and your presence. In those moments, you start to notice what was previously overlooked. You become aware of what you truly feel, what needs to change, and what message your intuition is always trying to deliver. In that stillness, you feel something new. Detachment, not because you don't care, but because you finally understand that what others say or do holds no power over your emotions. This level of clarity doesn't come overnight. It's a practice, a commitment to return to the role of the observer, instead of being pulled under by emotional waves. One day, you'll look back on this love story without tears. You'll no longer wonder where he is, who he's with, or what he's doing. You'll know if he wasn't your ideal partner or the wrong person. He was the one who brought you back to yourself. You'll understand that love isn't meant to complete you. It's meant to awaken you. Instead of chasing answers, you'll honor his path, not out of passivity, but out of self-love. His withdrawal becomes a paradoxical gift, giving you space to reconnect with yourself. The awakened woman knows she is worthy of clear, present love, but also understands that emotional maturity is a personal journey that cannot be rushed. By staying loyal to herself, she turns his silence into a mirror, not a sentence, but an invitation to evolve. In the end, you must find your truth, just as he must find his. Love blooms when it is no longer an escape, but a conscious presence. Begin by returning to yourself, because only when you are rooted in your own being can you love freely. True love never promises to be easy. It isn't always clear, nor always sweet. And at times it leaves you alone, face to face with a deep silence and questions with no answers. But if you've ever been loved by someone so deeply that they felt the need to withdraw just to avoid dissolving in that love, then understand this: you have touched a sacred part of their soul, a part they have never dared to fully face. Carl Jung once said, The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And perhaps you were the mirror through which that man first caught a glimpse of his true self, not through society's gaze, but through yours. In your eyes, he saw both his light and his shadow. The love you gave did not vanish. It is working silently like a seed beneath the soil, either to help someone grow or to help you become. So if you're standing in that quiet place now, holding back tears and holding steady in the storm of doubt, know this: you are not weak. You are awakening. And if you are brave enough not to rush to fill the emptiness, but to step into it instead, then you will not merely move on from a relationship, you will move through yourself,